All right, good morning. I'm going to give you a comparison between the 1050 and the 560 Masterbuilt Gravity Series. And the 1050, of course, as the name suggests, is roughly almost twice the cooking surface area of the 560. So 560 square inches on the 560 and 1050 square inches on the 1050. So there's been some changes to the 1050 from the 560, and we'll go ahead and cover some of those. We'll see what's kind of the same and what's changed. So first off, we'll start over here. The controllers, according to Masterbuilt, they're the same controllers. Of course, the shelves are different. If you look at the shelf, this is a stainless shelf, but over here on the 560, it's the same controller, but it is the black shelf. So not a major difference there. Same controller. So you're moving around. If you look on the side here, your little grill slides, or the hopper slides on the 560 hang right here. Over here on the 1050, you have hooks on the side, but your slides hang right here on the front of the grill. So they've moved that, made it a little more convenient, get it out of the way, and in my opinion, that's definitely a plus. If you look here, one of the things is the bottom shelf. The bottom shelf on the 560 is the expanded sheet metal or expanded metal, and on the bottom here, it's just a solid shelf. So much better shelf, much more stable, much more rigid. Moving on, of course, you see on the front, speaking of shelves, on the front of the 560, there is no shelf. On the 1050, there is a shelf that can fold down or up. And if you feel it, that shelf, it's not flexing, nothing, it's not moving. That shelf is nice and sturdy. So, and it also has kind of a little plastic texture on the front, a little lip. So furthermore, next we'll go with the hopper. And according to Masterbuilt, the hopper, the internals on the 560 and the 1050 are the same internal hopper, same capacity, same fan, same everything. All they did was they put a beefier shroud, bigger shroud on the outside, and it's just decorative is all it is, to keep up with the aesthetics according to Masterbuilt. Now there have been a couple small changes. If you look at the 560, the hopper opens up to the inside. So if you open up the grill, you can't open up the door to access it. So not that it's that big of a issue, but so with the 1050, the hopper lid opens to the back, so you have access to it. So you can open the lid anytime you need to and still be able to access both at the same time. So nice little change, nothing major, not necessarily needed, but it's nice that they're paying attention to some details like that just to avoid any minor inconveniences. So we'll move around, same slides. The interior of the hopper, like I said, is the same as the 560. So nothing changed there. Same, you have the same grate, charcoal grate. So then moving on around the back side, see there's the back side of the hopper. On the back side of the 1050, you have your slit is built into the hinge, so your exhaust slit is right there built into the hinge. So, which that's nice. You don't have a big open area, and it's all just integral into the grill. On the 560, you have your hinge up top. There's your hinge, but your slit right there, your exhaust slit. So very nice change there. It just makes things look nicer, smoother, and I like the look of it more. Another thing here on the back, another change is they added this little fold out, and they said that it's for storing your cable. As you can see, it fits. It's all nice and wound up, just it's as it came from the factory. I haven't opened it up yet, but it still is a pretty tight fit. I imagine that once I open it up and unravel it, and it's going to be really hard to get it to fit back here. But it is nice that they added a little storage compartment for it, and maybe we can get it to fit in the future. Speaking of which, the cable here is, this cable is much beefier than the cable that came with the 560. It's just nice, just thin here, but on the 1050, that's a very thick cable. Just not that there was a problem with the one on the 560, but the one on the 1050 is much beefier and just seems like it'll hold up better over time. So here on the back as well, like on the 560, you have your grease tray. You have that on the 560 as well, right here. Sorry, my screen keeps going off. So you have the grease tray here on the 560 as well. But the difference here is on the 560, this little grease pan comes out the front. On the 1050, the grease pan comes out of the side. So you pull the grease pan out of the side, and then you come over to the back, and you can pull out the tray. So, slight difference there. Not that the other was an inconvenience, but they just changed the design slightly on that. So, that's kind of an overview of the outside. As far as the lids go, we have the same exact temperature gauge, which I find this temperature gauge to be pretty worthless. I'd rather just not even have one. It doesn't matter to me. I don't use it, but it is the same as the 560. So moving on, we'll go into the inside of the grill, what everybody's looking for, and we'll open these up. Sorry about my 560. I need to clean it. So the 1050, well, my screen keeps going blank. There we go. All right, the 1050, as you can see, here are the cooking grates for the 1050. And I have these folded back right now. I'll explain that here in a little bit. But then here is the 560. So some of the changes on the 1050 compared to the 560 is this, according to Masterbuilt, is completely ceramic coated. So the whole cooking chamber, and I say that, this looks like it's bare metal, but if you look here on the side and on the walls and everything, that looks like it's ceramic or porcelain coated or something of that sort. So according to Masterbuilt, it helps retain the temperature, and that way you get a little bit better cooking time out of the 1050, and you burn a little bit more charcoal according to them than the 560, but it's not as noticeable of a difference. It's definitely not twice as much, but that's because that coating helps retain heat a little bit better than on the 560. So as you can see down here below, what's up? You have the manifold just like on the 560. Same manifold type. So you have a manifold down there, and that's just distributing the heat across the 1050. Trying to make it nice and even. Then your main cooking grate. Again, cast iron. You have on one side it says smoke, on the other side it says sear. The smoke side, it's, if you look at these here, they're kind of triangular shaped, so it's narrower on the top and then larger surface area on the bottom, so that way if you want more surface area for searing, then you have that option. Now, one of the biggest things, of course, is the cooking space. So let's compare grate size of the 1050 and the 560. So let's get this. So it's not really going to come across too well, but that's 560 grates on top of the 1050. So according to Masterbuilt, you have an extra 3 inches here, and you have an extra 6 inches on the side. That doesn't seem like 6 inches, but they said an extra 6 inches on the side. So significantly larger. I'll be putting that to the test later on today. I have 3 briskets I'm going to be cooking, so we'll see. But as far as this goes, the 560, you can see, significantly smaller than the 1050. So moving on with the some of the differences, the comparison between the two is the 560, these shelves, they just slide out and they come right on out. It comes with 2 little shelves like that, so you can buy more to get more space. I saw that Home Depot's now selling those. They have them on their website. But the 1050 is a little bit different. So this, it works differently, and I like this. It's going to take a little getting used to. So the top shelf slides in, or the bottom shelf, excuse me. The bottom shelf slides in. It's hard to do one-handed. Well, if I had 2 hands, I'd be able to do it a lot better. It's not as difficult. There we go. It's really not as difficult two-handed, I promise you. And then that's the bottom shelf, or the top shelf, excuse me. And the bottom shelf comes together just like that. So the nice thing is that they fold up and out of the way. And I'm sure with some practice and with 2 hands, you'll have no problem figuring out how to fold these up a lot better than I just did. I botched that one up pretty bad. But so if you look, that's as much cooking area as it seems that you'll be able to have, especially with the lid design. I'm not sure how that would work, but I don't know if they're planning on coming out with more grates or bigger grates for it. But that's what you run into. So, speaking of the lid design, the hinge, as we mentioned earlier, the slits in the back, but your hinge here is much different than on the 560. The whole lid comes up and it gets out of the way, and it's nice and heavy, nice and beefy, much heavier, much beefier lid than on the 560. But if you look at the 560, how that lid works, very light, it comes up. And if you look here, so you still, much different. So you have just a little bit of sheet metal here, but over here it's much beefier, and it seems a lot more solid, a lot more well done on the 1050. 560 is great, don't get me wrong, but the 1050 just seems to be a little more premium, just in about every respect. So I love my 560, and I'm sure I'm going to love my 1050. But if y'all have any questions, please comment, and I'll try to answer all the questions that you might have about this. I think I tried to cover just about everything. Let me show you kind of what I was talking about here for your slides. The slides on the 1050 go right there, so nice and tucked out of the way. On the 560, the slides, sorry I'm wearing this glove, I was touching the grate, so I didn't want to. So your slides can go right here, or on the 560 they can also turn around and sit like that. So, but that's that's the differences. That's a comparison between the two. Hope you all enjoyed this, and see you all in the next one.